We are back with another Revinyl. At it again, Craig.
We keep
And
going.
it's almost the 4th of July. We keep going. We just keep going. And here we are. Tomorrow is the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And we definitely wanted to get this recording done before then so that tomorrow we're not thinking about this and we're hopefully near a body of water with something cold close by. A cold
Absolutely.
beverage.
Yep. We'll be at the
Yeah.
pool tomorrow. And what better way to celebrate than with Revinyl, right? You can't have a celebration without Revinyl.
Dude, I can't think of a better thing than listening to us on the 4th of July while you're drinking and hanging out at the pool.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so we're going to jump right in. We're going to hit I think it's going to be a quick hit topic, but it's a fun topic. And it's something I always think about. And I think about people that, especially younger people that are learning about different iconic bands.
Mm-hmm.
You think about Led Zeppelin, and someone maybe in their 20s and they're just getting into Zeppelin. I mean, when we were growing up as kids, those records we didn't have access to everything. And so everybody owned Led Zeppelin 4 or,
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? So we knew all those songs. But in today's world with Apple Music and Spotify, if you want to go explore an artist, you're probably going to listen to the top songs first and not maybe the entire album right out of the gate. So you're going to listen to those top 10, top 20 songs perhaps, versus when we were listening, we were throwing on side A, listen to the whole thing, side B. And that's where some of those deep tracks come in. And I thought, why don't we do something like we're going to do where we take these iconic bands and we just pick a song that's one of our favorites
Right.
from these iconic bands that maybe people don't know that much about.
Yeah, it's cool not to use an algorithm that tells you this song has this many streams and runs down from top to bottom, right? Because of course Black Dog is going to be up there, and I get that. But yeah, the nuggets are truly the hidden gems within the album, and I've always felt that way. So this is cool.
It really is, and in some cases, the song that I'm going to list, and I won't speak for you on this, but I'll point it out when it is. In some cases, the song that I'm going to mention is actually my favorite song by the band.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Or it'll be one of the top 2 or 3. It's not just
Right.
Oh, I found this, as I sometimes say, this kitchen demo from the remastered. These are legitimately songs that I absolutely love that are on my playlist that I listen to a lot, and I think are potentially the best song they ever did. So that's fun for me as well. Okay. Well, what we'll do, why don't we do, you'll go first, and you can go through your 10 artists first, and then I'll do my 10. But I think you have a bit of a surprise for me today.
I do, man. I'm flipping the script. It's funny. Shawn off air, of course, said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Damn it, I was going to do it anyway." I already had him prepared. I was like, "I'm going to put him on the hot seat." So, if you've been following us, and for the edification of the new listener, we've been doing a thing that Shawn's been proposing. It's a trend of give out a topic and then you rate that from 1 to 10. And then he follows that up with giving you 2 options, either or. You have to select one. You can't sit on the fence. So it puts ultra pressure. He's done a lot. I think in some situations he was doing 15 or 20, but I have 10 rate items, rate subjects, and I have 10 either ors. So you let me know
Awesome.
when you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. Rate the following: indie folk.
Well, from 1 to 10,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give indie folk a 6.
Okay, that's pretty solid. Kale.
Kale, as in the kind of kale some people eat.
I don't think there's a band called Kale. There probably is, but no.
Yeah, there might be. There really might be. I'm going to give kale a 7.5 because it's super healthy, and I actually include it in my daily smoothie.
All right, good show. Good
But
job. Great job.
But if you ask me based on taste, it would be maybe a 4. But health wise, it's a 9 probably. But taste wise, it's a 4.
All right, Greta Van Fleet.
Man, I want to go really high with them, but I, I don't love them as much as everybody else. But I hear some of their stuff, and I love the fact that they are bringing back that sound.
Right.
But I still don't love them like I love Zeppelin and Rush, which they get compared to a lot.
Mm.
I'll say Greta Van Fleet a 7. Some people are gonna be really disappointed in that, but
Yeah,
solid
no, I
7
think
for me.
that's above average. Probably. There's a lot of people there. It's a love hate thing.
Yeah.
Horror movies.
Oh, can I go less than 1? Because
You
I
can.
hate horror movies. I'm
Right
I'm
there.
going -5 on that. I just don't like horror movies.
I
My
feel
mind is too inventive and creative as it is, and I don't need to see scenarios to continue to think about, oh my gosh, I never want to walk into a barn again, or
yeah. I feel the
so yeah,
same way.
horror movies. Oh, do you? Okay, good. All right.
Yeah. Improv comedy.
Oh man, that's an 8 for me. Love
Very,
that stuff
very
when it's
cool.
done
I
right.
do too. When it's done right, absolutely. If it's done right, 8. If it's done wrong, -50. Uh,
Yeah, torture. Yeah, whatever torture would be.
uh, Can the band Can?
Man, I'm going to go 6. When they're brilliant, they are unreal, but there's some stuff that I just haven't wrapped my head around, but I
That's fair.
get the significance for sure.
So far you're on point, at least in my opinion. So,
Yeah. That's all that matters, man.
doppelgangers. uh,
Dop
PB and J.
Okay. I thought you wanted me to rate doppelgangers. I was going to say, I give that a 10. Um, um, PB&J. I'm going to go 6 on that.
Ooh, okay. I'd go a little bit higher,
Yeah.
man. When they hit, they hit.
Yeah.
That's milk.
I rarely eat PB&J, almost
I
never.
don't either, but when I do, that's why it's so good
Yeah.
because it's rare.
Yeah.
Uh, what are your thoughts on the monkeys?
Ooh, boy, that's a really good one. I was just looking. I've got an anthology of theirs, a CD 2 set from Rhino, and I was just looking at it the other day thinking, I need to listen to this again. I've never been a huge Monkees fan, but I like some of their stuff. If I'm being honest, I got to go 6.
Okay, fair enough. TikTok.
I don't have TikTok, so I'm going to go 0. I have Instagram, but not TikTok.
Yeah. Yep. And finally, prog rock.
Oh, prog rock. It's a love-hate not even a love, sometimes distaste relationship that I have with prog rock, but there's so much of it that I love. And I like the outer pieces of it better. The Yes, and Caravan I've been listening to some lately. Love
Nice.
Genesis. So I'm gonna go for prog rock. I'm gonna go an 8.
Okay. All right. Sweet. All right. On to either or. Chocolate or peanut butter.
Chocolate.
Okay. The Smiths or Smithereens.
Oh, definitely the Smiths. That's a good one though, but definitely the Smiths.
Okay. Okay. Cool. The beach or the mountains. I knew it. I knew this was
That
good.
is that one is so tough. Oh my gosh. All right. We only have 30 minutes, so I need to come up with an answer here. Oh gosh. I gotta go beach.
Awesome. Yeah.
The sun, the guarantee most likely of the sun. And I think of some of my favorite moments like in Hawaii and in Florida and stuff. But man, do I love a good mountain trip.
Yeah. Love them both too, but the beach, I can't. I can't live
Yeah.
without going to the beach for sure.
Yeah. The
But,
sand in your toes. I mean, it's just hard to beat that.
the Kinks or the Stones.
Stones.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a fair answer. I do love the Kinks though. That's a tough
Yeah, I
one.
do love the Kinks.
You're gonna love
Yeah.
this one. A concert or a UGA home football game.
Wow. I'm gonna go and for those that don't know, for Georgia Bulldogs, I'm a huge college football SEC fan and a huge Georgia fan. I'm gonna go UGA football. Oh gosh, let me think. Because I usually only go to the big games.
Right.
So Now, you know what? Gosh, oh my gosh, this is torture. I can't believe you pick things that really are difficult for me. I mean, you did good here. I'm gonna go UGA football games only because they're few and far between every
Yep.
year. I go to concerts all the time, but man, there's something about going to the right concert is hard to replace. But I'm gonna go the football
I
experience
knew
because
that
I
was
only
a
do it
tough
a few
one.
times a year.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I like the idea of it being a little bit more rare, where concerts are universal.
yeah,
So you could flip that either
yeah.
way, but I agree with that. I think this
And
is.
the other part,
Oh, go ahead.
the last thing I'll say on that, the other part of that is for people who don't do the football experience. It's a lot of the best part of the experience is the pregame, what we refer to as the tailgate
Oh,
experience. That especially for people overseas that may not, the tailgating, because that is part of the football game experience, and that is I actually like that better sometimes than being in the stadium. Is the 4 or 5 hours before the game when you're hanging out with all your friends and you got music cranked up and drinks are flowing, and that whole experience is hard to beat because people don't really tailgate for concerts.
we
We
used
did that at my big concerts.
we used to.
Yeah,
We used to in
we
the
used
'80s
to.
and '90s for sure. But yeah,
That's
and
true.
there's the
Yeah,
anticipation leading up to it. It's awesome. I totally
yeah,
agree. I
yeah.
think this one's going to be tough for you too. Turnstile or quicksand?
It is tough, but I gotta tell you, man, I am really into Turnstile and that new album, dude. I and I've been listening to it and they didn't branch off a ton. I hear traces from the previous record, but
Hmm.
I love the previous record as well. I just love what Turnstile is doing with a little bit of hardcore, a little bit of police influence, the Smiths, and all this stuff combined. And they have some nice 80s metal riffs in there too.
Yep.
And I think what Brandon Yates, the lead singer, is one of the most versatile vocalists in rock music right now. He can sing just about anything from hardcore punk all the way to more of a soulful style.
Yep.
Man, I do love Quicksand, and you turned me on to Quicksand, but I'm gonna go Turnstile.
Okay. Well, you know where I would go, but that's cool.
Yep, I
Uh,
know.
80s music or 90s music?
That's tough, but I'm going 80s music. I just like we talked about last week when I started going back through all those songs,
Yeah.
for me, 80s music.
Okay. Fair enough. I'd probably go 90s, but that is tough. It's really tough.
Yeah,
Tom Petty or Bruce Springsteen? The Boss or TP?
man. And I had both of those guys were on my bucket list to see, not realizing, of course, that Tom Petty would leave us way too early.
Yep.
But when I did a bucket list 20 years ago, I had Mellencamp, Springsteen, and Petty at the very top of the list of three guys I had to see. I got to see all three of them. I'm gonna go Petty because there's something about Tom Petty. Man, I mean, they're both so amazing, and I've got Springsteen is on my list of iconic um, deep tracks I'm going to talk about in a minute. But for me, Petty, just there's something about him. I think Springsteen's a great human being too. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about Petty that always appealed to me. He was that small town. He just was off. He never seemed like a rock star at all, is what I guess I'm trying to say. I mean,
Yeah.
Springsteen to me does, and I think if you saw Springsteen in person, you might, practically faint, going, "Oh my gosh, that's Bruce Springsteen." I
Right.
feel like if you saw Tom Petty, you go, "Oh my gosh, that's Tom Petty."
Yeah.
It'd be a little different reaction because Petty was just seemed so much more of an everyday guy, and that
Yeah.
that really appeals to me. So I'm going to go Petty.
Agree 100%. 100%. This is a little bit more obscure. An original release on vinyl or a limited edition color reissue?
Oh, I love that's such a great one. Overall, I'm going to go with the reissue because I'm hoping for that reissue also having a really good cover that's really bright with a lot of colors and probably a little thicker stock, maybe.
Yep.
So I'm going to go the reissue.
Okay. Finally, and this one's going to be tricky too. Aha or Simple Minds?
Oh boy, that Gosh, you did kudos to you, man. Um, I'm I am actually going to go Simple Minds because they just that 3 album run that they had started with New Gold Dream
Yep.
to Once Upon a Time. I would put that up against that 3 album run for me. I would put up against just about any band in the last 40 years.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So
Good
I'm going to go
job.
Simple Minds.
Good job.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like them.
Thanks.
We had some difference of opinions, but I think that's awesome. That's what makes music.
Yeah.
That's what makes music awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah, just because we're doppelgangers for the most part doesn't mean we are complete doppelgangers.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's great, man. What an awesome job. You have set the bar. I got to come up with some tougher ones for you next time. You had me squirming. I don't know if you noticed, it was a couple times I was like moving in my chair thinking, "Oh gosh, why do I feel we're just having fun here. Why do I feel so uncomfortable?" So, nice job. All right. Thank you for doing that. Okay, you're gonna go through your 10, right? You're
Yeah.
gonna just run through yours, and then we won't spend a lot of time on it, and I'm gonna give you the floor with this,
Okay.
but I may do some, "Oh, wow, what don't even know that song," kinda comment,
Yeah.
or "Love that song," but I can't wait to hear yours.
So I'm going to go in order to which we picked them. So just for the listeners, right after we recorded the last episode, we did a deep dive in like 10 minutes and just picked. We each went back and forth and picked 10 bands, iconic bands or artists to feature that have a song that's off the beaten path, rare gems. So, and
And
of
it
course,
was and Craig, if I could say I'm sorry, I'm about to say this really quickly, so sorry to interrupt, but we kinda did it almost like a draft,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
once you picked that band, they were off the table, so if I
exactly.
said Bruce Springsteen, you couldn't pick Bruce Springsteen. You had to pick somebody else because we
Right.
didn't want to flood people with just all the same. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we went back and forth, and so he was gracious enough to give me the first selection, and of course I chose Led Zeppelin. Uh, let's talk about an album called Physical Graffiti because there are a ton of songs on Physical Graffiti. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there is only one, if not maybe two singles on that entire double album. And not a lot of stuff gets played on it, but it is one of their best albums. Part of me wants to go Braun Yar, but that's a instrumental track, so I'm not going to go that. But that leading into Down by the Seaside is pretty much pure
Mm.
bliss. But I'm going to go with a song called 10 Years Gone. I think 10 Years
Oh,
Gone is one of the best songs ever written.
mm,
You just hear
I agree.
the tone of the guitar. Page's tone is amazing. The bass, everything about it. John Paul Jones's bass,
The
the drums,
bass
everything is
is
just perfectly placed.
yes.
You're on the edge of your seat, waiting for every moment. Love that song. So definitely check that out.
You know
Um,
what I love about that? You said it though, because it starts off with that just sort of really peaceful, serene, simple guitar,
yep.
and then when the bass comes in, the contrast between that sort of treble, it's not a real thick sounding guitar, and the contrast of that thick bass that comes in
Yeah.
over top of that, it kills me every time, man. That song and In My Time of Dying for me,
Oh my gosh.
that those 2 songs alone make Physical Graffiti my favorite Led Zeppelin album, those 2 songs. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. The version that Jimmy Page did with the Black Crowes, the live version of 10 Years Gone,
Yeah.
whew, man.
Killer
Okay,
stuff.
that's
All right.
awesome.
So Tom Petty was my next selection. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, or it could just be Tom Petty.
Yeah.
I kept with the Heartbreakers. I thought about doing some of his solo stuff, but it's tough, man, because there's three different eras for him, or there's really five different eras, really. But 70s, 80s, 90s. I wanted to go with something off the self-titled album. If I did, I'd go by "Stranger in the Night." I love that song. If you have not heard the self-titled or the title track from Southern Accents, I'm telling you, it is breathtaking. It's one of the best songs ever written. Love that song. But I'm actually going to go with an entire album that is off the beaten path. I don't think people realize that the She's the One soundtrack, the original soundtrack, is all original Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers songs. And if
Mhm.
you've not heard Hope You Never, it is classic Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Killer song. Okay, moving from Tom
I don't
Petty.
know that. I don't think I know that song. I mean,
Oh,
I
it's
know I've
great.
heard it because I used to listen to that album. I've seen the movie,
Yep.
but okay, I got to go back and listen to that.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Thank you.
I definitely say listen to that entire album because there was a single off of it, but I don't think people realize how much original material. There's a ton of songs and some segues and stuff too. It's good stuff. All right, on to Pink Floyd. There's a little album called Metal from 1971 that, for the longest time, was my favorite album because there just wasn't a lot of hits off of it. Um, and I just love the album. I love the style of it. It's very diverse, but it does not get more diverse than Saint Tropez. That is one of the
Mhm.
most chill, like laid back, kind of sitting on the porch type songs coming from one of the best psychedelic bands of all time. Brilliant album, brilliant song. Definitely check that out.
Okay.
On to Fleetwood Mac. All right, so little disclaimer here. I did not go back to the Fleetwood Mac that most people don't know. I went with their classic lineup. I did not go with Peter Green because if I did, I could have selected anything. Most people would not know it, and
That's right.
it's a travesty because to me, Peter Green is one of the best blues guitarists ever. I love Peter Green, and I love his reiterate. I love his iteration, the original Fleetwood Mac, more than what people know. But what people know is just a iconic pop band, and their first album is stellar. If you've not heard the song "Crystal" off of the self-titled album, check it out. That could have been, if they would have released that as a single, it would be on everybody's list of favorite Fleetwood Mac songs. It's that good.
Yeah,
All right, Metallica.
love it.
Metallica is next. I went a little
Yes.
obscure with this. I love this. I remember when a buddy of mine played this on cassette, and I go, "What the heck is this?" And it was the Garage Days Revisited. So the original release of that on cassette was the 598 EP slash
Oh,
Garage Days Revisited. And
so good.
then they released the CD and they say, well, the 998. They're like, we're not going to sell this for
Yeah.
$6. Um, it ended up being like a hot commodity. You couldn't find it. But he had it. And I just remember thinking, what is this? Because it's all covers. But they do a cover of The Weight from Killing Joke's first album. Dude, I'm telling you, they were an excellent thrash band. And this was them doing thrash punk. They were doing punk. It was so
Yeah.
good. Highly recommend that. It's not something that you would find akin to most of what you recognize from Metallica. Very cool.
I love that song. It's on my workout playlist. I listen to it probably once a month. Wasn't it also in the School of Rock soundtrack when Jack Black is in the
Oh, it
van
might
and he's
be.
like flying through? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. That is such a killer song, man. I
Yeah,
love that. What a great choice.
yeah. That's a to me another one of those albums. If you haven't heard it, it's just great covers. I mean, the first song,
Every song.
every song is so good.
Helpless.
Helpless. Oh my God, Helpless is like that sounded like their song. Um,
Yeah.
All right, on to Jimi Hendrix. And now I did not go with the Experience. I actually went with the posthumous. I don't know how to. It's so hard to pronounce that. Posthumously.
Pos- Posthumous.
Yeah,
I
there
think
you
it's
go.
posthumous. Yeah.
This was released
I
a
guess.
year after he passed away, and this is off the Cry of Love album. It's a song called "My Friend." Now, people might have heard Freedom. Freedom was huge. They released that on several, like Voodoo Soup, when they did the reissue of that, a bunch of unreleased stuff. It was on that. But My Friend is just classic. I mean, the cool thing about Hendrix is Hendrix had a funkier side to him too, like Wait Till Tomorrow and songs like that, where he had a comical side. He had a really good sense of humor, and it wasn't all about blowing you away with guitar. He had a really good sense of melody, and this is
Mhm.
evident of that.
I
Uh,
don't know that song.
it's great.
That's
That's
awesome.
a
Okay.
great. It is a great album. It doesn't rank up there with any of the Experience stuff, no, but it's really good.
Okay.
Okay, another tough one, and because this to me, there were two bands growing up for me: Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith were my two bands. The early
Yeah.
Aerosmith stuff, I'm telling you guys, is just stellar. Um, and Toys in the Attic is one of the best rock and roll albums. It's just stellar.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go with my favorite song ever from them, it's on that album. It's called Uncle Salty. I love
Yeah.
that song. I'm not going to go with that because I feel like I've heard that out places. I don't think anybody
Mhm.
knows anything off the first album. The first Aerosmith album is just straightforward hard rock and roll. It is sounds as BBC demo kind of as they ever sounded. And it's the very
Yeah.
first song, Make It. I love that song. I absolutely love that song. I love the urgency of it. I just love, you could pick the whole album once again, but the very first track, Make It, killer.
I
Uh,
gotta go back. I mean, it's been a long time since I listened to that record, but I mean, Dream On is obviously on there,
yeah,
right? That's
yeah.
the only song that anyone would
That,
know
that's
off of
it.
that album.
Yep.
Yeah. I need to go back. I haven't listened to their debut in years.
It's so good.
All right. That's a
Um,
good one.
All right, I chose Bob Marley. I think that shocked. This will shock Kevin for sure, but I think it shocked Sean too because I'm a big
Yeah.
reggae guy, and I typically avoid Bob Marley, even though Bob Marley is amazing. The Wailers are amazing. It's just more the cliche factor, but I am a fan of him in general when people aren't around. I don't want to be the cliche, the guy that's playing that on the beach. I want you to hear something else. I want to
Right.
introduce
That's
people.
just too predictable.
Yeah. But if I am going to play something, I'll play an album like Kaya. Now there are some hits. There's hits on every single. Seriously, the guy was a genius. One of the
Yep.
best songwriters, period. And that band was just killer. But Kaya has a song, and I'm saying this is not only one of my favorite Bob, it is my favorite Bob Marley song. It might be my favorite reggae song, and that's Sun is Shining. I've never heard a
Mm.
song quite like it. I just haven't.
Is that the song that Finley Quay sort of sampled? Doesn't he have a song called "The Sun Is Shining" from the late '90s?
I don't
And
know.
it
I know that
feels
I
like
know
it,
his name, but I don't know if I never really I didn't look up to see if anybody had done a cover of it, but
which actually makes it. Well, he's got a song called "Sunday Shining." That's what I'm thinking of.
oh,
But
yeah,
it feels like it has a sample in it. I need to go listen to the Bob Marley. I don't know that song. I
yeah,
may know it if I hear it, but by name I don't know it. But it'd be interesting because he was kind of. I think the Finley. I hope I'm saying his name right. Quay or Kai.
yeah.
But he was kind of a reggae-ish type guy,
Oh, that
and I just
totally makes sense.
I think, in fact, under Apple Music, under similar artists, one of them is Bob Marley and the Wailers. I have a feeling that he sampled that song.
Oh,
There's
cool.
something in my back of my brain that I think he did sample that.
It
That makes
has
it pretty
it
cool.
has a weird kind of a ghostly feeling to it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's very unique. I don't know a reggae song that sounds like it. And that's what, but it still fits. It still fits the
Yeah.
beach. It's great. Next, David Bowie. Now, David
Mhm.
Bowie was to me one of the easier ones because he had such a plethora of albums, and I feel like a lot of people only know a handful of hits. They really
Yep.
do. But I went a little bit deeper, and I went for an album that doesn't get reviewed very well, and I think it's pretty solid. Called Tonight, from 19. When was that released? 84. And
Mm.
there's a song called "Don't Look Down," and it just fit to me, especially coming after Marley because it has a little bit of a reggae, kind of a calypso vibe to it. Good stuff. Underrated album and a great song. And then let's cap things off with some Depeche Mode. And I'm going to go with an album. It's probably my second favorite album. I'm not saying it's the second best. I mean, come on, Violator is just flawless. Um,
Amazing.
and I think Songs of Faith and Devotion is just such a brilliant record. I love what they did with that. But
Yes.
the follow up to that, I like even more because it's moodier. Ultra to me, I love that album. I absolutely love
Mhm.
this album. And there's a song called Insight. I don't know if Insight's the last song. It's one of the last songs, if not the last song. Dude, man, they had a knack for doing something theatrical without being theatrical. There's
Right.
something about the impact and the build that they would have to a song, and then by the end of it, you're just like, wow. you're just exhausted in a good way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I freaking love that band. So that's what I got. Those are the 10 that I've got. I'm really
That,
excited to hear yours.
that is so cool. I don't know if I can top that, but I'm going to do my best. And you've given me a lot of stuff I need to, when I listen to, as you and I always do, we always listen back to our podcast once it's published, and I'm going to go back and listen, and I'm going to have, like one of our listeners said, a scrap of paper and a pen
Yeah.
close by and write some stuff down. And I hope that a lot of people feel the same way when they hear yours and mine. So I'm going to start with, this is what even brought up the idea. I texted you one night. I think I was at the gym, and I said, we should do an episode like this with iconic bands with songs that no one probably really knows
Right.
unless they're a deep fan. And the song that I was listening to that night that made me think of this is by U2.
Okay.
I was a huge U2 fan growing up. You were as well.
Yeah.
Almost said you were too. You too. But after, I don't know if it was that I started to fall off from them. I'm not saying they still didn't make great records, but there became a certain point by 2000 or so that I wasn't listening to a lot of their releases as they came out.
Yep.
They released an album, though, about 8 years ago called Songs of Innocence. And I bought it on clearance, like a bargain bin, the CD for a couple bucks 3 or 4 years ago. And I thought, okay, I paid $2 for it. I got to listen to it. And I do like U2, but I wasn't expecting anything on there. I thought I'd hear a bunch of songs where I'd go, yeah, this is good. Solid U2. They're great at what they do. But there's a song called Red Flag Day.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. It just reminds me so much of what they did in the 80s. And I'm not saying it even sounds like that, but it could have been, it was a song that, to me, it just has that there was something about early U2 that seemed so urgent and immediate and important, everything that they did.
Right.
And I think that's hard to maintain over time as you get into your 40s and 50s and you've written and recorded 100 songs. How can you keep doing that? But Red Flag Day has that for me. I love that song.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. Next up, one of my favorite bands of all time, The Band. And the song that I love, there's so many great songs you think about. Up on Cripple Creek, not one of my favorites, but everyone knows that song. Everyone knows The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, The Weight, all those songs.
Yep.
The Weight, not to be confused with Metallica's other song,
Yep.
Spelled differently. But there's a song on that second album, which I still believe is one of the 5 greatest albums ever recorded, The Band. And the song is Look Out Cleveland.
Yeah.
Awesome. Incredible song.
Yeah.
My son, who's 19, is really getting into country and Americana music and alt country and country rock. And that's his favorite song. He's really deep diving into The Band.
Yeah.
And we were talking recently and he said, Dad, the song I really love by The Band is Look Out Cleveland. And I said, dude, that's so great. Cause me too. That's always been my favorite song off of that album. Okay. Next up for me was Van Halen. The song is, and I'm pretty sure this was on the Twisters soundtrack, but it was on their Greatest Hits album that they, as a, how they used to do Greatest Hits album plus 2 new songs kind of thing.
Yep.
The song is Humans Being. Do you know that song?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. It is all in one song. It's almost thrash metal. At one point it's Hagar, but the guitar in this song that Eddie Van Halen. But then the chorus is sugar sweet. It's a song that goes from one end of the spectrum to the other, and I absolutely love that song. But Hagar's basically growling in the verses throughout the song, and then it goes into the chorus, and it's this beautiful chorus with Michael Anthony's glorious backing vocals. It's a really killer song. So that's
definitely
my pick for Van Halen. Yeah, you'll love it. Okay, Cheap Trick. We love Cheap Trick. On our previous podcast we used to do years ago, we devoted 2-hour-long episodes to our love of Cheap Trick. That's how much we love Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
All those great albums that they did in the late 70s and early 80s. But the song that is my favorite song by them, bar none, is from 1997. They did a second self-titled. It's
Yeah.
called Cheap Trick,
Yep.
and the song is called Say Goodbye.
Mhm.
I just think it's one of the most perfect pop songs I have ever heard. Say Goodbye is just
Killer.
so incredible. Yeah, killer. All right, next up for me, Eagles. Huge Eagles fan. And look, this is not my favorite song by them because for me, One of These Nights, and I can't tell you why, and the list goes on of great songs.
Yep.
But there's a song off of On the Border. I didn't even know this song. I was actually just listening to the entire album one day, and this song pops up, and I go, "Oh my gosh!" And I don't think it's Henley or Fry. I think it might be Timothy B. Schmidt singing this, but the song's called "Is It True?" You ever heard that?
No, don't know it. Yeah.
Holy cow. It's such an underrated gem, and it's got this great slide guitar in it, and it's got this incredible chorus, great bass line. It checks all the boxes for me. Okay, next up, Van Morrison. Boy, it's hard with the guy like that because you figure in his heyday, there are no deep cuts. If you listen to Tupelo Honey or St. Dominic's Preview, those albums, people who know Van Morrison know all those songs.
Right.
I have a song though from him. I think it was from 1997. The album was The Healing Game,
I remember that.
and
Yeah.
the song is called the song's called Rough God. Man, what a great song.
I have to go back
Have
and
you ever
check it out. I
you
remember
familiar?
the album. I don't remember songs
Yeah.
individually, but yeah, I remember the album.
I think it's the first song on the record. Rough God is just classic Van Morrison. You know, he wrote when he's on his game, he could write with an ease that the songs just seem so natural and just so perfect. And this song to me is just a great example of that.
Cool.
All right, Santana, another band that you could name 10 songs off top of your head. And this is on their greatest hits album, from the original one that came out in the 70s. But no one ever really plays this song. It's from the third album, Santana 3, and it's called Everything Is Coming Our Way.
Mhm.
It's 1971. If I did a list of my top 50 songs of the 70s, this would be in there for sure.
Wow. Okay.
Unbelievable song. Yeah. Okay, next up for me, Bruce Springsteen. I'm going to go and in the spirit of this, I think this week was when this box set was released, right? Of all
Yeah.
his unreleased
Last Friday, I think.
gems.
Yep.
Last Friday. Okay. So the original version of that Tracks that was released, I don't know, 25 years ago.
Yeah, I had it on CD.
Oh, me too. Yeah. And I actually own the condensed album version of it as well. But there's a song on there that I guess he recorded probably around the Tunnel of Love time frame, but it's called Sad Eyes. What a song.
Yeah.
How I don't know how that song didn't get released on one of their albums. I don't know how you could record that song and listen to it and go, we've got enough. We're not going to put that on any record. I mean, it is one of those songs you go, how did that never get released?
Yeah.
It was such a great song. Sad Eyes, love it. Okay, last two. John Mellencamp. Man, I was thinking back on this because I picked Mellencamp and then I thought, okay, what is my favorite deep cut by Mellencamp? I have so many because that run that he did from Scarecrow to Big Daddy to Whenever We Wanted to, man, I'm telling you what, John Mellencamp in the mid to late 80s,
Yeah.
as good as it gets.
Yeah.
He was writing Lonesome Jubilee. I mean, all those albums are near perfection. There's a song on Big Daddy because I love Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is probably one of the most beautiful, absolutely beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life, and just achingly beautiful. Martha Say, there's so many great songs on the album, but there's a song called Sometimes a Great Notion
Mm-hmm.
that just, if you hear it, and I don't know if you know that song, but it is vintage mid 80s Mellencamp, where he was able to take a, fiddle and the guitar and R&B backing singers. And, he had this thing where he was able to do all of this in one song. It was like earthy,
Yeah.
but it also had an R&B feel to it.
Yep.
Mellencamp owned that space in the 80s. And this song, Sometimes a Great Notion, I mean, you want to call it an Americana song for sure, but it had some other elements to it that just, such an incredible song. Okay, last one for me, Bob Dylan. So hard to pick because there's so many great songs, but so many of the songs that people know. But on the record, Blonde on Blonde, there's a song buried towards the end of that called Obviously Five Believers.
Yeah, great song.
Whew,
Yeah.
I know you love that song. It because that was a blues song through and through. I
Yep.
don't know who he probably borrowed a little bit from there. I'm sure it was somebody, but that is a great blues song, and it has all the elements with the harmonica and the guitar. And Dylan he was in his peak at that point, or at his peak at that point. Love that song.
Good job.
That's my 10.
Nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
man. Yeah. Yeah. That's fun.
You know what's
You know
funny?
what?
Just a
Yeah.
little observation, and I thought about this only after the fact, and we did not preface the list with we're picking all big bands except a band. We didn't pick
Yeah.
the big band.
We didn't.
Neither one of us even thought, because I feel like with the Beatles, everybody's heard everything. Like what could
Yeah.
we could go to some of the unreleased stuff that they released back in the late '90s, early 2000s. Those white, I can't remember what those were. You remember the white double CDs that were
Yeah.
all unreleased stuff.
Yep.
But at the same token, I feel like it was almost. I feel like if you know the Beatles, you love the Beatles, and if you love the Beatles, you know it all.
No, I will say my two favorite songs by them are not on the Red or the Blue album.
Oh yeah, same here. Yeah,
That's an accomplishment within itself.
Yeah,
because there's what 40, 50 songs between those two. For those that don't know, they did it. The record company after the label Capitol, after they broke up, released a Red album chronicling the first 3 years and the Blue album for the last 4 or whatever.
Yep.
And it's as good as it gets in terms of greatest hits package.
Mm-hmm.
But my two favorite songs are not on those albums.
Yep.
We should do some more of this down the road. We should do another draft of the next 10 for you and me, because this was fun, and it made me go back and listen to stuff that I hadn't thought about in a while.
Maybe dive into some albums that I have not heard probably since my CD store days. When I had everything in front of me. And it was just a different era, because back then, it was CDs. Now everything is it's readily available, and so you don't think to go to it as much because it's not physically tangible. So yeah,
right,
good stuff.
It's harder sometimes to pick songs in today's world. As crazy as that seems,
it is
when you have everything available to you. Versus, I thought about this with video stores. I used to walk into Blockbuster Video, and music, but video. And I'd walk in the store and I'd go straight to the new arrivals, whatever they called it, just released. And I'd be back out the door in 4 minutes.
Absolutely.
I sit down with my wife at night in front of Netflix, and 20 minutes later, we still haven't picked a movie.
Right? 100%. It's kind of like, I think Tom mentioned this before a while back on the schizophrenic music when we were doing the Moonlight Mile thing during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I just want you to make the decision for me. I get crippled by decision."
Yeah.
And I go, that is perfectly phrased, because he's right.
Yeah.
It's think about, like, when you want to do something as simple as go get something to eat. Where do you want to go? 20 minutes later, where do you want to go? And Netflix, like, try YouTube, man. Just try YouTube. I've been doing that lately with just music videos and podcasts and radio shows. And it starts learning your tendencies. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I want to watch that. Oh, but that looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I want to watch all
this. Decide, which one do I want the most? But you go into Blockbuster Video back in the day, and every movie that you wanted would be checked out, and you'd be left with 12 other choices, but you just make a choice and you'd leave.
Absolutely.
And you had to pay for it. Like, you had to actually take that video up and pay $3-4, whatever. You can go to Netflix. You've already sort of prepaid for it.
Right.
All those movies are free, and I can't make a decision. It's just too much. There's too many choices, and you're crippled by decision. Yeah. And that's the way I feel about music sometimes. There's just, everything's out there now.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. This is great. I hope we get some feedback from people, because I think this is the kind of stuff that people expect from two guys that know music as well as we do.
Yeah.
And they listen to this podcast because they want to learn new stuff.
Right.
And I think this is hopefully the kind of podcast that people really get something out of, and give us some good feedback. We'll do multiple rounds of this if people really dig it. So
I'll add this too, because it literally just came to my mind. I would love the idea of taking these same bands. So these 10
mhm.
bands that I have, the 10 bands that you have, and then coming up with a recommended if you like, but go
Yeah.
strictly obscure. So if you like Led Zeppelin, you should check out this. If you like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever the case is, Bruce Springsteen, you need to check out this guy. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I'm up for that next week or the following week. You think about it, and if we
Okay.
have another topic that we want to do instead, or I love that idea, because
Okay.
you've already got my mind racing. I've already thought of, if it's your choice, because you picked Led Zeppelin, but I know who I would pick, and it's not Greta Van Fleet,
You're right.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
it's not some of the more obvious ones. But I'm thinking, I'm not going to say it. I think I know who you're going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you say it, I'm going to go, yep, I picked that. I knew
You just
that.
write it
But
down.
yeah, I should write it down. Yeah. But yeah, that's a great idea. I'd love to do that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. All right. Everyone, thank you for listening. Keep the comments flowing in. Spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies. We don't care. Just tell somebody about our podcast, please.
Yeah, and whatever you hear, whatever comes to your mind, if you want to hit us up on YouTube, that's great. We have a YouTube channel. If you want to email us, revinylpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Even if you come to us and say, that was a loud, Shawn, I cannot believe you picked obviously Five Believers. There were 3 other songs that are deep cuts that are better. Then I'm learning something too. So even if it's criticism, we'll take it.
Oh yeah, we can take criticism for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm married. I'm used to criticism.
Get rid of that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, thank you, man.